relationship, my partners, we get along really well. And we all do our part, whether it be being a CFO or real estate, VP or executive director, and we kind of get out of each other's way, but we talk every day, either by phone or by WhatsApp or by team meeting, and we just put systems in place to where we don't have to question or bother anybody, but we know what's going on at the same time.
Well, you've learned something that is incredibly important, and I see a lot of entrepreneurs, Paul, who struggle with this years into their career, decades into their career. And what they've not learned how to do is what you learned how to do early on, which is how to surround yourself with people who are strong in the areas that you're not. And that is absolutely essential to succeed in this business. We're all not well-rounded at everything. We're just not, right? So by you going out and finding folks to be able to kind of augment what you do really well is really super smart. And that's why you're experiencing the level of, success that you've been able to achieve over the years, is because you've learned how to do that. So I applaud that and would say, just keep doing that. And, I think that's really fantastic.
I'm just candy coating it. I think I'm just lazy.
Well, no, I know that's not true. So now
I think because of, I thank goodness for Dan and Fransmart. Again, I can't stop being a fanboy of Fransmart, because I think over the 10 years I've seen so many brands grow, blow up, take off. I've seen like really good franchisees and really bad ones without having to make the mistakes myself. And a few of the common denominators include building a team. Like, they're willing to build the team. They're willing to heavily invest in people, like, which you champion, and which I think is probably one of the tenets of your consulting firm. And so I feel like I was able to live like many lifetimes without having to go through the pain myself. And so I wanted to do my best to transfer whatever I could learn from these folks to what I do. So I'm not always perfect, but there's a couple bets that paid off.
It's so true, though. I think we learn so much from other people's experiences. And, when you talk about team building and building a team and, really putting that investment forth, I mean, there is that tension of having to manage ahead of the business a little bit. And I'm sure you've experienced that many times in the evolution of your career, where, you're technically betting on the come a little bit, but you need X, Y, Z in terms of the people on the team to get to where you want to get to. And so that is a tension that has to be managed. It's not a problem to be solved. But there are those times where you've got to commit, and you either believe in your concept, you believe in the process, or you don't. And if you don't, then you don't invest in it and you struggle. If you do, you invest in it and it's really scary, but the return on that investment is huge.
Yeah.
Almost incalculable because of what it allows you to do on the other side of that investment, and what it allows you to do in terms of the operational execution and the marketing and the sales growth and, the market share and all those things that happen that come as an outgrowth of that investment in the business. So I think that's pretty awesome.
Well explained. And I guess that's how it went down.
No, that's good. So for you, was it obvious to you that, okay, this is what I need to do? Or did you get some help? Did you get some coaching in that area? Did you have anybody come in and say, hey, look, you can't make this all happen on your own. You've got a great idea. This is what you're good at. Or was it something that just kind of came obvious to you where you're like, all right, it's clear to me I don't know finance. It's clear to me I don't know marketing. I've got to surround myself with some other people.
I think it's more, I think I've just been surrounded by it for so long that it just came intuitively, right? You just see it on a daily basis. It's just something that you do.
Sure.
And, maybe I could have done finance myself. Maybe I could have done this or that myself, but it was also a matter of timing and a matter of speed. And I don't like to be a victim of like paralysis by analysis. And I did know that Halal Guys is a very viral, popular brand. And I knew that if I didn't take it soon, I know that the market would. It'd be like, I guess I got a severe case of FOMO, and
Yep.
and not only that, I just knew that I wouldn't enjoy the business if I ended up having to wear 20 hats. I knew
Yep.
it would just be a recipe for disaster. The thought of like having to build, a certain number of stores and have like hundreds of employees and all rest upon me, no way.
Right.
And so, I think my most memorable moments, my favorite moments, are when I'm doing things as a team. And so it all just pointed towards just finding partners, and I'm probably skipping over critical details here, but we did spend a lot of time getting to know each other and making sure we're all aligned on certain visions. And
Of course.
we did engineer how communication and how trust could work. So we weren't. Yeah, I think we spent a lot of time even before even talking about restaurants. We more talked about philosophy, fit, and all that stuff. And yeah, so yeah. I mean, does that answer your question?
No, it does. No, I mean, that's really good. No, that's really helpful. So you've obviously been in the business for a really long time. So at what point was it that you realized that you wanted to do this, that you wanted to be a leader, and whatever that was going to look like, you knew that was the path that you wanted to be on?
Good question. I don't. It's funny. You're labeling me as a leader, and a lot of people that have interviewed me or done articles with me have labeled some kind of leadership role. I still don't see myself as a leader. I just see myself as someone who's just really enthusiastic about ideas or concepts or championing principles, and I just need to sell. In my partnership with 5 people, like I consider my buddy Thomas, my partner Thomas, to be more of like a leadership role. He's kind of played more of a CEO, company direction type of stuff. But I know what you mean by leadership. I guess I don't really, they say like the best leaders don't consider themselves a leader. They just consider themselves like servants,
Right.
that serve people. I mean, I'm not trying to like put myself in that like martyr.
No, of course. Right.
But
Right.
I'm just so focused on the idea of serving people and changing people's eating habits or changing the industry landscape, that I guess it just ends up turning out to be leadership.
Exactly. It's
About ideas, I guess.
right. It's all those things that kind of roll into that, right? So it may not start as this idea of leadership, but in the end, when you look back and you go, okay, we did this as a group, we did this as a team, right? That takes a group of people working together to make that happen, and that's all about leadership. It's all about leadership. So as and you and I earlier, before the podcast, we were kind of chatting about this topic, but it's one of the ones that I know you're passionate about. I'm super passionate about it as well. But, and it's kind of a buzzword now, which really bothers me, but there was a time when nobody ever talked about it. So I'd rather everyone talk about it than no one talked about it, but it's this whole topic of culture. Uh-huh. And so I guess my question for you, Paul, is why is culture important? Like, why is that valuable? Why do you need it? Why do you have to have it in your organization?
Ooh, yeah, that's a question that, if I'm being really honest with myself, I'm still trying to put it in a bottle, put it into a bottle and know how to serve it on a consistent basis. But I mean, I think culture is really important because I think nowadays, with so much competition and so many concepts and so many companies and so many economic things working against you, having a really good product or service is just not good enough. And it's all about the experience.
Right.
It's all about so many other senses that get tackled. So, you can create the world's best, viral foodie item, but it's not backed down by a story that people can stand behind, or a belief, or the way the workers are treated and the way they in turn treat the customer experience. and if it's not something that, I guess if it's not something that just you feel like you can stand behind and be a champion of, then you're going to be, you're going to be hard pressed by other companies that are willing to go the extra mile in championing those ideas. So I guess it's, it's a competitive advantage, but it's also, gosh, this is a tough question.
No,
And
I think you're right. Yeah.
I think culture is also, um, I think culture is also, gosh, I'm trying to think of how to parallel with how Howard Schultz built such a great culture. But I think it's so important because there are so many, again, there's just so many, there are so many things that could take people's attention away. There's always going to be another better company. There's always going to be a better product,
Right.
but always going to be better something. And the only way you're really going to not just get customers, but get like loyal fans who live, breathe, eat, sleep your brand, and they're willing to drive past 20 other similar offerings to get to you, is because they believe that food or product service is just the baseline. Being treated well is just the baseline, but like, what do you believe, and how do you treat people? What do you stand for? And how do what do you believe that other people are afraid to believe in? There's just so many other things that are being championed that smaller companies or mom and pop shops just aren't willing to champion, or they just don't understand that it's something that needs to be embodied as well, or they'll end up being in a sea of other has-beens or me too's, and can't stand out and differentiate. So I mean, culture it's hard to measure, but it's super important, and that's my only take. It's something that I'm actually still trying to figure out myself, to be honest. As you can tell, I'm still a little bit stuttering on it, because it's something that I know needs to be studied a lot more deeply. But I mean, I might want to turn that around on you, and maybe you can kind of do a better job with explaining that the way you explain it to your clients and your restaurant chains that you consult for.
Sure. Well, I think you did a great job with that. And I think I want to pull a thing that you said in the middle of that out, which is you said something in the middle there, and I'm glad I have this recorded, but you said something that I think is really powerful, that culture happens when you believe in something that maybe other people don't believe in, right? I think that's when you begin to create that ethos of who you are. And I think when you think about Howard Schultz, or you think about the early days of these iconic companies like In-N-Out and all these organizations, I think you have that ethos that's rooted in culture. So what I would say is that culture is something you can connect to.
Yeah.
Culture is something you can really start to latch onto, and it becomes this tangible thing that you can feel and that you can touch. And I think it's incredibly powerful. And I think that the right culture will fuel your vision. It will fuel your mission. And I think you know it when you have it. And I think that you see it start to show up in ways that are just so genuine and so authentic that there's no other way it could have happened. Right? Like it's absolutely the right thing to do. Right? Like when you think about great organization like the Ritz-Carlton, I'm reading a book right now called Excellence Wins by the former CEO of Ritz-Carlton. His name is Horst Schulze.
Uh-huh.
And in this book, Excellence Wins, it talks about the culture that they created at Ritz-Carlton and how they, like their culture, right? I mean, kind of their ethos permeated throughout that entire organization in ways that they never said, we want you to go do this. Just their employees, whether they were the bellman, they were in housekeeping, they were the hotel manager, they all had the same belief. And that showed up. Like, if you know anything about the Ritz-Carlton, they're all about service.
Sure.
and they're all about excellence, right? And so kind of their ethos